He was born with a pair of scissor hands, making it extremely difficult to eat even a single bean. He would also accidentally cut his own face. His father had wanted to replace them with real hands, but suddenly passed away from exhaustion, shattering the hands into pieces. He only wanted to touch his father's face, but left a bloody streak instead. Later, he lived alone in an ancient castle until a woman suddenly barged in. Edward emerged from the shadows, extending his hands in hopes that she could help him. Upon learning that Edward was an orphan, the woman decided to take him home. On the way, Edward excitedly gazed out the window, seeing the outside world for the first time. Even a bicycle made him smile for a long time. As soon as he arrived at the house, Edward fell in love with this clean place. Under Peg's arrangement, he first moved into the room. Looking at the ugly person in the mirror, he wanted to touch his own face but accidentally cut himself. He turned to look at the inflatable bed he had never seen before. Gently pressing it, he accidentally punctured a hole, immediately covering it with a doll. Then he clumsily put on his pants, but in the time it took Peg to make a phone call, he had tied himself up like a penguin. Hearing the commotion, Peg rushed over, first freeing Edward's head, then simply treating the wound before changing his clothes. However, at dinner, Edward found that he couldn't even pick up a fork. He grabbed a pea, but accidentally dropped it just as he was about to eat it. Seeing this, Peg quickly handed Edward a pat of butter, which he cut a portion of and spread on the cake. Finally, after repeated attempts, he tasted real food for the first time. However, Edward knew he was a cold machine in the eyes of humans. Since his creation, he had lived alone in the dark castle. When Peg first saw Edward, it was heartbreaking because he didn't have human hands, only sharp scissors. The scars on his face were all accidentally self-inflicted by his own scissors. So Peg carefully cleaned his wounds and decided to bring him back to live in her small town. When Edward first rode in a human-invented car, he was as excited as a child. But some people didn't want this monster to come to town. However, Peg didn't care at all. After inviting Edward into her home, Peg couldn't wait to introduce her family. When Edward saw Peg's beautiful daughter, his cold heart began to tremble for the first time. As Edward self-consciously looked at his appearance in the mirror, he knew deep down that he was unworthy of love in this life.